the answer.
Sponsored by The Way to My Heart Incorporated.
Welcome to the Heart of Innovation. 60 minutes that could save life and limb, with new breakthrough ideas and innovation changing the healthcare landscape. Brought to you by patient advocacy group thewaytomyheart.org in partnership with Abbott. Here are your hosts for the Heart of Innovation, Emmy award-winning journalist and founder of The Way to My Heart, Kim McNicholas, and interventional cardiologist and founder of the Save My Piggies Health Education Series, Dr. John Phillips.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the show. It is Diabetes Awareness Month, and diabetes is, I would describe it as the greatest epidemic of our time. It is rampant. And one of the biggest complications is peripheral artery disease. It's those blocked arteries in mainly the legs that, left untreated, they could lead to amputation. Today, we have a very special guest. We are focusing on our Save My Piggies special with this one featuring Salih Hendricks. He is a PAD patient, he is diabetic, and he is an amputee as well. And he is going to share his journey from patient to patient advocate, hoping to inspire others to live a better quality of life and to improve the care in South Africa. So this is going to be an extraordinary show, John, really inspiring. And I think it's going to be powerful to hear his journey and what he's doing to improve care over in South Africa.
Yeah, Kim, number one, happy Saturday. I know you were busy at Viva, as was I. But yeah, so November's Diabetes Awareness Month. I'm just going to give you a couple of statistics, which you probably know. But if you look at a pie chart, over half of that pie chart is filled with people, this is in the United States, adults, with folks that either have diagnosed diabetes, undiagnosed diabetes, which makes up about 14-ish% of the population. And then about 1 in 3 or 38% or so of folks have prediabetes. And the vast majority of those folks know they don't have it. So prediabetes means your blood sugars are high, but not high enough to be diagnosed with diabetes. And a lot of those folks do ultimately turn into diabetics. And so to your point, this is something that we can actually get our arms around and prevent if we get enough awareness, get folks to exercise and change their diets. So this is going to be a great show. And I love the fact that, speaking of arms, we have that reach across not only the country, but the Atlantic Ocean and into another continent. So super stoked to talk about Salih and his journey from a Save My Piggies angle.
And to be cliche, I mean, diabetes and PAD, it knows no borders, right? It's everywhere.
Yeah,
and
very true.
It's something that collectively we all need to come together. And in fact, there's a conference going on over in South Africa today, actually through the weekend, in which Dr. Ian Wilson from New York, there was also a doctor from Yale University. He's one of the professors there and a physician as well. I believe he's an interventional radiologist. Actually, both of them are. And they're there educating other doctors in South Africa on how to perform advanced limb salvage techniques. And so it's really inspiring that the world is coming together. And they can find, if anyone missed, we did a live interview with some of the folks there in South Africa at this conference earlier this morning. And that's live. It's on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/The Way to My Heart.
Awesome.
So I think we need to get into Salih Hendricks' story because I know he has a lot to say and it's such an incredibly inspiring journey. But first, I think it's time for a moment of inspiration from you.
I guess I'll just go.
Yeah.
Shall I go, Kim? All right. All right. So
I don't think there's any,
I don't need it.
Dr.
Yeah, we don't need
John Phillips. Moment of inspiration.
Well done. See again.
Okay,
we love being live. All right. So Tom Hanks has diabetes. There are a lot of folks that have diabetes, and we've talked about this before, right? Raising awareness often means that you have somebody who's kind of on a pedestal that can kind of share the message and speak to the masses, and clearly Tom Hanks can do that. And so I was looking for a quote from him, and this is kind of talking about being patient. And so I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but somebody had asked him about having patience with something, I think filming a movie or something. But he says, if you feel bad right now, this too shall pass. If you feel anger, this too shall pass. If you feel great, this too shall pass. So this too shall pass, meaning time is your ally. And if nothing else, just wait it out. And I heard this when he was given an interview, and there's a lot of truth to that. Like if you wait, usually things kind of work themselves out. Now, it may not be how you initially thought it was going to work out, but it works itself out usually. So have patience. Time is your ally. Just wait and just wait it out.
I don't know, but time is tissue in this case.
True. But so it is time is tissue, time is muscle. Don't necessarily wait out.
I was going to say that.
I know. That was kind of like I threw you a softball there. But to your point though, right? Don't wait on a wound.
Right.
But just have patience, I guess, and things usually work them. So let's call it this way. Wait on, you have a patient who's worried about a diagnosis, and wait on Kim to help you find maybe another physician that could help you, or wait on, that second opinion, or just again, have patience. Have patience.
And I think that's also incredibly true to your point, in a sense that there's so much that patients can do to improve their own health when it comes to diabetes and comes to peripheral artery disease. Lifestyle modifications are the number one treatment for PAD and for diabetes, but it doesn't happen overnight. So for example, with my dad and his arteries and his blockages and his pre-diabetes, it took him several months to get his A1C to turn around. And it took him literally more than a year for that to reflect in his actual plaque in his arteries. He still had 8% growth in plaque over the first year, and having these dietary changes and improving his exercise. But then after that, yes, you need to have patience. You need to stick with it. You need to trust the process. It will happen. When it comes to walking, it takes 6 to 8 weeks for those collateral vessels to start showing up and to start really dilating and improving your symptoms. So you might go out walking today and you might go, okay, where are my collateral vessels? You need to have patience. Right.
And you just, as they say, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Take the step, and then take the next step, and then the next step, and then you'll get there. But to your point, and that's a great analogy. I really like that, because this stuff doesn't occur overnight. You can't get your A1C down. You can't you can't lose the 20 pounds that you want. But if you stick with it, trust the process, be a light for those who need help, but also be willing to absorb something from somebody else, like the Weight of My Heart or Save My Piggies or things of that nature. So trust the process.
Yes. And we're going to get Salih Hendricks' story, his response to trusting the process, when we come back right here, the Heart of Innovations, Save My Piggies Special.
Leg health can indicate risk for heart attack, stroke,
sorry
and
about
amputation.
that.
If you have leg pain,
Technical
or
errors.
Colin,
Got it going now.
you're not fired.
disease,
I'm sorry, you tried. You tried, but we love you.
Was there supposed to be a?
Yeah, he played it.
All right, that's cool. That's fine. I don't care. But I do like the name. I think you came up with a name for today's show. Trust the process.
Okay,
I like it.
love
I
it.
like it. Trust the process.
Yeah, I haven't written the show notes yet for today, so.
Do you want to? You're going to bring Salih in, right?
Sure. I would love to. Where's Salih? Is Salih here?
There's Salih. He's muted, my friend.
Okay, ready to.
Yeah, I'm here.
You're so handsome. I just adore you. Thank you so much for doing this. He's been on since what? What time this morning? You've been on here for like 2.5 hours?
Yeah.
It's 8 o'clock there, 8:15.
That's right.
Just
Sorry,
love you.
One more
Just
minute
amazing.
till we come back on it.
Examining your priorities in a big way. If you had thoughts of a
Sally, do you see the chat box?
Yes, I do.
Okay, good. So, Colin will give us the countdown, 2 minutes, 1 minute, 30 seconds.
Okay.
That's when we wrap
See
things
that,
up.
I see the
Yep,
chat
and I
box.
see some, and if anyone has questions, go ahead and let us know in the chat box. And when we are ready, we will ask you to unmute and go ahead and ask your question of Sally. So if you do have questions or you do have insight or something to share, just let us know in the chat box and we will do our best to bring you in.
Everyone, 15 seconds till we airs.
Oh, to Dinesh D'Souza, Andrew Wilkow, Brandon Tatum, and more. Like you, we say what's wrong and what's right, unfiltered and unapologetic. Salem News Channel. We're the answer to the mainstream media. Learn more at snc.tv. This is 860 AM. The Answer.
Welcome back to the Heart of Innovation. For more on today's topic, go to theheartofinnovation.org. That's theheartofinnovation.org. Once again, here's Emmy Award-winning journalist Kim McNicholas and interventional cardiologist Dr. John Phillips.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the show. This is the Heart of Innovations at Save My Piggies Special. And since it's Diabetes Awareness Month, we have a very special guest on this episode. It's Salih Hendricks. He is a diabetic, also a peripheral artery disease patient. But even more than that, he's such an incredible advocate fighting for life and limb of others throughout South Africa. And I wanted to bring him on the show to share his journey from being a patient to becoming a very powerful patient advocate on that continent. So it's amazing. Welcome to the show, Sally. Thank you so much for your courage and your perseverance and your inspiration and coming on the show today.
Kim, thanks for that introduction. I really appreciate it. And I'm just feeling overwhelmed with all the attention that I'm getting now at this moment. But let me rather start off, being born into a diabetic family was something I did not ask for. My mother and father were both type 2 diabetics. And not knowing what my journey would actually lie forth in the years to come. And coming from both parents being type 2, I was the only one that actually was diagnosed as a type 1. But before the type 1 diagnosis, I was diagnosed at the age of 12 with diabetes insipidus. And I think John can also relate to that because it was explained to me in quick terms of it's a organ diabetes. And because of a nosebleed that could not stop, my blood pressure was very high. And it took them about 3 hours to actually stop the bleeding. And the diagnosis was that, to my understanding that time, they just said there's something wrong with your hormones, And being at the age of 12, I didn't understand what they were speaking about. So being diagnosed with diabetes insipidus, it is not mellitus. And I just thought to myself, let me rather just go with everything and accept everything. And for 4 years, I suffered with insipidus, diabetes insipidus, and they gave me treatments for hormonal treatment, no insulins or anything. And at the age of 17, I collapsed at college, my first day at college, and it was quite embarrassing. Rushed me to hospital. And when I woke up after all the tests, my doctor, Professor Keaton, told me that I am now a diabetic, and but in the line of the mellitus. So I've become a type 1 diabetic. And
Yeah. So, Sally, could I just interrupt for just 1 second? Because
go ahead.
So diabetes, there's a couple of types. There's type 1 and type 2. Type 1, basically, the pancreas isn't making the insulin. and you need insulin, like full blown insulin. Type 2 often develops more, so those folks develop, or those are kids that get it. And then type 2 kind of develops more oftentimes later in life, where you have some insulin resistance. You're still making it, and oftentimes with type 2 diabetes, you can stave off the need for insulin. You can make some changes in your lifestyle, and you can kind of potentially push back a little bit. But at type 1, boom, you need insulin the rest of your life. Diabetes insipidus is a little bit different, and really those are folks that have a lot of what we call extreme thirst. They're peeing a lot, so polydipsia, polyuria, and that typically has to do more with some hormone changes in the brain and causing you to have that issue. But ultimately, right, I mean, you require insulin, correct?
Yeah, I require insulin, and that was from the age of 17. And my treatment actually continued from there. But because of the kidney issues that I had to actually go onto a high blood pressure tablet to actually control the pressure of my kidneys. And my kidney functionality was always between, say, 45, 55, 65%. And that's when my journey actually started as a diabetic with mellitus. And I actually took care of myself right through until the age of, we can say, 21, 22. And suddenly I went into denial. And I wanted to live as a normal person, eating the chocolates, the cookies, going to parties, and not knowing what damage the high levels of sugar actually, how it progresses through your body. Your veins and your arteries gets affected, organs get affected, and still being in denial. I mean, at the age of 25, when
but Salih, I mean, you at the age of 12, you have a diagnosis that is clearly going to change your life, and it's going to require.
That's right.
Who I have a 14-year-old son, 11-year-old daughter, among others, and they're kind of mature, but not really, and that's a big pill to swallow. And so I imagine it's very difficult to tackle this disease on your own, and then not only kind of come to terms with it, but also change your lifestyle, change how you interact, with your friends, because they're probably eating things you shouldn't be eating. Share a little bit of what that, and then I think the other question that we're going to ask maybe when we get to after the break, but I'm curious as to how this works in South Africa, and maybe it's the same as the U.S. with respect to diagnosis and treatment. But yeah, let's let you continue.
Yeah. At that age, say for example, between 12 and, I mean, you just started, which I say the high school, and you try to hide everything because you constantly, like insipidus, you're thirsty, you're urinating a lot, you're tired, you can't participate in sports. So you always find that bunch of children that makes fun of you. So their stigma actually comes in. And because I was a little bit on the chubby side, they always called me, names. Oh, you can't do this or that because you're overweight. And because of the hormone treatment, my body, and also reaching the age of puberty, it went through a lot of changes. And mentally, as a growing child, I could not cope. There were so many things that went through my body changing, me being on high school. It was mentally draining. And I actually withdrew myself from a lot of activities, sports, my friends going on little hikes or walks, or children that actually went on excursions. I always had to stay at home on the days of those outings, as to say. And it was actually hard, but my acceptance for diabetes mellitus at the age of 17 and my diagnosis of diabetes insipidus came that I knew that my mother, my father, my sister and my brother, they were all diabetics. So I accepted the diabetes side of everything. But as a human or person that wants to live a normal life,
Right.
you want to join the crowd. You want to. And that's when I, for a few years, actually went out, John?
Right here on the Heart of Innovation, we're going to hear what happens next in Salih Hendricks' story. So stay with us.
3 years ago, my symptoms started with leg
All right,
pain
everybody
and
put it
leg
on that
cramps
side.
while walking.
Okay.
Wow, that is really so powerful, Salih. And you're being, you just, I just want to cry for you because I mean, that's hard to go through it. So many of us, even, for myself, I know what it's like to be bullied and to be, left out of things. I developed a little bit later. I was very quiet. And so, I was very quiet.
You're
So
making, clearly making up for lost time.
exactly like what the hell. But I think that it's also it's just so hard and in knowing what I went through with that, but then you're not only going through that, but then also going through the medical issues on top of that, and it's nothing that you can do anything about. And so yes, as you said, you felt this acceptance, because of your family having it, but yet there was still that part of you in having this situation occur when you're still in your formative years and you're still in that time where you want to fit in. So that's where it'll be interesting. And you were mentioning that that's when you just decided to rebel against everything. You're like, you know what? How can I be normal even if for a day?
We see that in kids that have sickle cell too. They're young, they're in the hospital a lot, and they rebel. A lot of them have a lot of tattoos, and it's kind of like their way of, hey, what can I control here? Well, I guess I can control what I do with tattoo, things of that nature. But I feel for you, man. That's tough. That really is tough. At such a young age.
And the thing, because it actually happened in the 80s, it was actually hard because, I fell under what you call the public sector. And, my mother didn't have, which they call medical insurance. So this was actually the crux of the matter where I had to go with all the basic medicines and care from the public sector.
Well, that's interesting too, because I'm curious, and we should talk about it at some point, but healthcare in South Africa.
1 minute till air, 1 minute till air.
Particularly because forgive my ignorance, when did apartheid end?
That was in 94.
So you were there during apartheid, right? So that's obviously, and I imagine that probably did it or did it not play a role in medical access and care?
No. The medical access was actually, if I may say, the whites actually benefited, from the better hospitals. And I mean, I don't like to say this, but we just got the scraps. We had to be satisfied. We got medication. It was
Sorry to
something
interrupt.
that.
We have about 10 seconds till we air.
Okay.
John, do you want to take us back?
Sure.
Okay. You can ask the question, Sean.
Penalty may apply. Federally insured by the NCUA. Visit providencecu.org for terms and conditions.
860 AM, The Answer.
Welcome back to the Heart of Innovation. For more on today's topic, go to theheartofinnovation.org. That's theheartofinnovation.org. Once again, here's Emmy Award-winning journalist Kim McNicholas and interventional cardiologist Dr. John Phillips.
Thanks, everybody, for joining us. We're live on AM 860. We're doing a Save My Piggies podcast. We're talking with Salih from South Africa. Salih was diagnosed at an early age with diabetes. And kind of before, I asked you two questions before we went to break. I think you helped me with the first one, but the second one, we're obviously in the U.S. You're in South Africa. This is in the 80s during apartheid. Share with us the medical care that you're getting, not only as it pertains to a young kid with diabetes, but also being a black South African as opposed to a white South African during apartheid.
John, there again, I wasn't sent to the best of the hospitals. And what actually came about was that there was which to my understanding at that time, there was a couple of misdiagnoses of the medication that I actually got. They thought that I had a heart condition, not knowing that it was my kidneys. And with the high blood pressure not coming down, they gave me extremely, which they say, high dosage of blood pressure tablets. And that made me go into a dizzy spell continuously because my blood pressure came down too fast. And into the second year, it was still the public sector. And it was a way that I think my mother became frustrated in them not knowing exactly what tablets to actually give me. I mean, I wasn't sent to the labs or my blood samples wasn't sent to the labs to be tested for specific types of tests on. It was just tested to see if I was a diabetic, if I had any problems with the kidneys. And continuing in that way, I was transferred to another hospital, which, if I mentioned, the Somerset Hospital. And there I met Professor Keaton, And if it wasn't for him diagnosing me with diabetes insipidus and then giving me the correct treatment and surviving that 4 years until the age of 17. But in that process of seeing him, he actually said that I might have been suffering of this condition at a younger age, and nobody actually knew. And, may God rest my mother's soul. I mean, she was a very, how can I say, believer in herbal medicines, because the chemical medicines were too expensive, or the doctor's visits were too expensive. So being in that era, in the 80s, it was actually hard for me because I missed out a lot on school. And I think the blessing came in at 17 when I became a diabetic with mellitus, And there again, the healthcare system was again very basic, but I got the basic, which is a combo insulin. It wasn't the long-acting and the short-acting insulin separately. And my sugar levels were tested once a month. That's when I went to hospital every month because CGMs wasn't that, how can I say, in the limelight as to say as a product or a medical care mechanism in the 80s. So the hospitals were the only ones that had these machines, and I only knew what my readings were, or I had to actually use, which they call the yellow tape, And the yellow tape, you had to actually dip into your pee, and you had to watch which color green it turns. And mine was always avocado green.
Yeah, I mean, I think the analogy there is if you have a pool and you're checking the chlorine level or the pH, that's how you adjust it. So you're obviously you got a lot that you're dealing with respect to your medical issue, the diabetes. Take us now. So you're in your your late teens, early 20s, kind of getting to grips. When did you start developing some of the complications from diabetes with respect to vascular issues and as such?
I think that started at the age of 25.
Oh, wow.
When
That's
my,
great.
yeah, my veins actually burst behind my eyes. And I actually had to have emergency laser operations in both my eyes at the same time. And they saved my sight. And but the left eye they saved, because at that stage, for quite a few years, they actually say they don't want to declare me blind in my left eye. They want to see the progress of the treatment. So at 25, I was actually working already. And there again, I was under Professor Keaton. And the best part of being with Professor Keaton, he was actually and I don't take me wrong, he was a genuine doctor. Because there was a time that I could not afford some of the medications. And he had a private practice at the hospital, the Christian Barnard Hospital, Memorial Hospital, which only the rich could actually afford. And he treated me for a few months under his own costs, and actually visiting him, and he gave me the medication. But be it that, I really appreciated the journey that I went through with the people caring for me. And after the operations, I thought to myself, this disease can either kill me, was this what went through my mind, or I have to look after myself. And some can say after, I adjusted myself with lifestyle changes and everything. And I immediately went out of that denial stage of diabetes is my normal.
Yeah.
I can't
And
live.
that was okay. And once you accepted that, then you were able to move forward and actually persevere. And we're going to get to that next part of your journey coming up next right here on this Heart of Innovation Save My Piggies Special. So stay with us.
Yes, you can have a heart attack, a
Everybody's
stroke.
clear.
Cool. And we have 10, I think we'll have what, 8 minutes here?
You didn't bleed in too much. You'll have about 9.
Okay, good. Thank you so much, Colin. So we'll have about 9 minutes here, and then we have like 4 minutes in the last segment before we go into your after show. So we want to get to the PAD aspect of it, what happened there, really quick, and then we also want to get to the impact that you're having overall, and the fact that you're joining our team, which I'm really excited about, leading the charge, and we're just going to help you with whatever resources you need to help to you live out your life's purpose, as well as what we talked about this morning, that you find purpose, through this. So
Salih, what refresh my memory? What so you have obviously peripheral arterial disease. You've had a major amputation. Is that correct?
Yeah, I had a major amputation.
What did
and
you lost a leg below the knee?
Above the knee.
Above the knee. Okay.
Above the knee. Yeah.
And then do you have any issues on the other leg?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Because of the pad in my left leg, I had a stent insertion, which the blood flow is actually much better now. But the, how can I say, after walking, for about a few minutes or so, there is still the claudication that actually happens. But like Douglas actually gave me some advice that I should push, just beyond that, not stop and actually relax. So that
have you lost have you had any minor amputations on the left leg?
No, not at all. Nothing at all.
So you have all 5 of those piggies, right?
All 5 of my piggies are there. And I actually check that myself every single day. I check my ABIs. where they told me at the hospital and the surgeon, you just have to do that once a month. But me being paranoid, I mean, I don't want to be a double amputee. That is my greatest fear of becoming a double amputee.
And when was your first amputation? When
My
was
first
the right AKA?
After my revascularization of the bypass, that was in August 2020. My body rejected the bypass. Then in September, mid-September, I had stent incisions. My body rejected that as well. And because of the rejection, the surgeons actually tried to see what they could do. But because of
I think,
infection,
and I would venture to guess that the term, because I've heard patients say the body rejected the stents. I mean, typically what that means is they just re-stenosed, meaning there's a scar tissue that developed pretty quickly. So we don't want to make confuse folks as an actual rejection. In my mind, when someone says rejection, it means the organ has been rejected. But I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying.
Okay, fine, all right. And of course, amputation was on the card, and that was the 19th of October 2020, and I think it was the best decision that I've ever made in telling them to do it above the knee, because they did a scan and they did the ultrasound, and
Sorry
they
to
found
interrupt
that
everyone. 1 minute till air. 1 minute till air.
because they found that all my veins and things is best at the top of my knee.
And I'm curious, towards the end as we get there, just how you're able to maintain the other. And there was a question in terms of how you check your ABI every day with what tools. Do you have home tools there? We don't have those here.
What I do is the ABI with my blood pressure machine. So I do my arm, I do my ankle, and then I divide the arm and ankle, and that's how I get my ABI.
Look at you. Look at you. That's awesome. So, yeah. I'm sure probably one of your doctors helped you.
Everyone, 15
John, you want to
seconds
take
till
us
the
back in?
Yeah, I'll do that for sure.
And then let's kind of move through to the point where we can get to what you're doing for other people as well.
Coming days. This is SRN News. 8:60 a.m. The Answer.
Welcome back to the Heart of Innovation. For more on today's topic, go to theheartofinnovation.org. That's theheartofinnovation.org. Once again, here's Emmy Award-winning journalist Kim McNicholas and interventional cardiologist Dr. John Phillips.
Welcome back, everybody. Again, we want to thank Salih for joining us for this Save My Piggies episode. So, Salih, before we went to break, you touched on a couple things. You started to develop some of the complications from your diabetes, particularly with the eyes. But you also said to yourself, okay, I'm not going to throw the towel in. I'm going to either kind of lace up my shoelaces and get moving and tackle this disease. I'm not going to let it kill me. Unfortunately, however, you started to develop some of the vascular complications related to diabetes, ultimately developed peripheral arterial disease. And unfortunately, you've had now an AKA, meaning an above the knee amputation on the right side. So share with us how that transpired, and then share with us how you're fighting to keep the left leg on. And I know you have all 5 piggies on that side, and we want those saved, right?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, John, my journey after the laser operations for 20 years, between the ages of 30 and 50. I took care of myself in every respect as a diabetic. And in that period, it was where I went to the doctor and I said that my legs are paining, and the only thing that was said, and I took it by heart, take the painkillers and take the calcium tablets. It will help. No ABI, to test the blood flow between my arms and my ankles, nothing at all. I mean, knowing that I am a diabetic, And I took it for granted, right? Painkillers, calcium tablets will help, you know. And not knowing that I had PAD at that stage. And but going to another doctor and for a second opinion, they discovered that I had blockages, and I can't remember the medication which they gave, and tried to actually see if they could get the blood flow and blockages, because it wasn't that bad as they described to me, you know. But in 2019, that became the worst, where I used to park in the parking area and walk to the office. A walk that would take me 5 minutes would take me 20, 25 minutes to half an hour, because I had to stop all the time because of claudication. I mean, I understand the term today, claudication. That was just cramps and pains that I actually had. And coming back in 2020 from my vacation, COVID in its at the highest level, I went for a checkup, and they gave me the full scan, ultrasounds, everything, and they found 3 blockages in my right leg and 1 blockage in my left leg. And I was actually on treatment, and round about, you can say, July, things just became bad, where I got an infection. I trod into something, I don't know what it was, and then I got an infection in my right leg. And
did you have a wound that developed? I imagine you had a wound that developed on that foot.
That's right, yes, because of what I actually walked into, and I didn't actually take note of it. And this led to them checking everything, and after checking everything, they gave me treatment, but it couldn't actually heal. And that's when they said that they would actually try the revascularization. And in August, I had the bypass, and that didn't work. And September, I had stents put in, that didn't work. And when I saw my leg not at a dark blue, but at a blackness, and they said, this is between life and death, we're going to have to do an amputation. And again, I asked them to check my circulation, because they want to do below the knee, and I decided for above the knee, and I don't regret that. So this was actually a new opening to a journey of an amputee, a diabetic amputee.
So how old were you at this time?
I was 54, yeah, 53, 54. And being 57 now, it is something that the journey for me, it is a blessing that I made that decision on my own. I suffer from PAD in a way that I try to take care of my blood flow to the best that I can in my body. Being a diabetic with kidneys, eyes, fatty liver, PAD, amputation, it is actually, it is hard to accept it. Because with my amputation, I mean, I cried every night. I went to bed crying, not knowing what could hit me next with the next condition of diabetes, you know, and advocating and going into awareness programs. I mean, for all the years, I've always been doing diabetes advocacy and awareness programs amongst people or at communities, clinics. But the amputation took me to a different level of advocacy, and research work became the priority in understanding or how I could best understand things in layman's terms. Because every doctor or specialist that I saw, I questioned them to the deepest of questions that maybe sometimes I didn't understand them because of the terminology, you know, and memorizing the terminology, I Googled it. And that's how I could understand things on what my condition was going forth for the next few years. And the fear was mobility. And doctors speaking on your lifespan or hearing in the corridors or something after amputation, 3 years, 5 years, then you're gone, you know. So I'm trying to prove that to many specialists that I still see up to today. When I reached my 3rd year on the 19th of October and went in and I said, I'm still here, you know. So
Yeah.
the next 2 years, it's another battle where the 5-year, you know, for the life expectancy of an amputation, could I go for 10 years, you know? So it is just hard in a way to relate to people. I mean, I've gone through my personal life. I mean, 4 marriages because people or my partners could not understand me. My moodiness of diabetes. How would a woman accept me as a single man trying to just cope with life? And it is hard. So
And that's sometimes what
having
doctors don't realize, you know, that really the pain and agony and the suffering that go along with this. And we're going to hear how you're trying to raise even more awareness and inspiring doctors to improve the care and improve the understanding and improve the outcomes for patients just like you. So stay with us right here on 860 AM The Answer.
Cost of everything, it's going up. It's got you
We're gonna have
re-examining
a
your
minute till we come
priorities.
back.
Okay. So John is we're gonna get right into
We've got what?
we
How
got
much?
probably 4 minutes.
4 minutes. Okay.
Call it like 3:30 to be safe.
3:30 to be safe. So so set your stopwatch, Sally. It's like 3 minutes 30 seconds in this last segment. And
By the
but
way,
we
30
want
till we
to,
air.
you know, I'm just curious, you know, from the innovation standpoint, is understanding that there are more options available here for below the knee, and that there's now, I mean, it's just moving at the speed of light. And so now, you know, even though you're probably helping to raise awareness for the options that are now available that maybe weren't available to you, you know, 3 years ago to revascularize and
10
improve
seconds, everybody.
the patency.
Battles of
I'll let
American
John.
history on your favorite podcasting platform.
This is 860 AM. The Answer.
Welcome back to the Heart of Innovation. For more on today's topic, go to theheartofinnovation.org. That's theheartofinnovation.org. Once again, here's Emmy Award-winning journalist Kim McNicholas and interventional cardiologist Dr. John Phillips.
Welcome back, everybody. We're kind of rounding third here with our show. We've only got a few minutes left. Sally, obviously, heart-wrenching story. You've lost your right leg. You've done and are still doing everything you can to save your left leg, which that in and of itself takes a lot of courage. But you are now an advocate for amputees, people with diabetes, people that have peripheral arterial disease. Tell us what you're doing to not only help yourself, but help others who suffer from this disease process.
John, the only thing that I can say is with my advocacy that I'm actually doing now is helping the patient cope with change. With all the new technologies that we have, with the conference happening here in South Africa, for Africa, it is something that we actually wanting to get the technology out there, people, so that they can cope with change in the fairness of, in every sense, with pumps for diabetes, for prosthetic legs, for people that long for prosthesis to live a better lifestyle. So with the advocacy that I'm doing, it is coping with change with all the new technology and new medicines.
And so are you traveling for this? Are you galvanizing the doctors, the different advocacy groups that are there, the societies that are there? How are you going about this?
Last year, I was in Sweden, and I did that on the platform from the European Association for the Study of Diabetes, and also in Lisbon for the IDF, that's the International Diabetes Federation. And I'm also doing shows for WHO, the World Health Organization. And I actually raise awareness on their platforms and share my lived experience for patients that actually suffer and would like to go forward in learning from. And also to various HCPs on the platform of at the University of Cape Town, to the physiotherapist side that I'm very dependent on with the physiotherapy. So I deliver talks on moving forward on how important physiotherapies therapists
And I think we've come full circle here. We had that quote about this too shall pass and letting time kind of carry you on. And again, you could have at any one of these time points mailed it in, quit, and frankly be dead right now. But you kind of let trust the process, let it go, and look where you are now.
John, to tell you the truth, 2023 was the hardest year where I almost gave up in January 2023. I was burnt out 2022 December, and like I told Kim, you know, picking up the pieces after, you can say, February, March, April, May. It was literally picking the pieces up of myself to give myself again to others. And the important words that I've actually learned from Kim in our early discussions is look after yourself before you give to others. And 2023, I actually did that. I picked myself up and I took care of myself, and I don't want to lead into that burnout to give too much and then I suffer at the out end. So as a patient advocate in diabetes, amputation, and NCDs, it's hard, but I love doing it. And it's a blessing.
You are such an inspiration. Thank you so much, Salih Hendricks. You're amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you, Salih.
Everyone's clear on that side.
Thanks, Colin, for bearing with us.
Thanks, Colin.
We are still live online, and
You
we
get a
are going to
chance, you don't have to do
transition.
it now. Go ahead, do your after show, but just send me an email with the information you want for this show.
Fantastic. Thank you. I'm going to take this opportunity to open up our after show, our One Step Away after show. Our regular co-host, legendary Harlem Globetrotter, Larry Shorty Coleman, is actually out on location inspiring kids to improve their health, to use exercise, to improve their mental health, their physical health, all of the above. So instead, we actually have Salih Hendricks, who is going to be joining Douglas Salisbury, our regular co-host for our after show, One Step Away. And they're going to continue Sally's story, but also they're going to expand the conversation to talk amongst themselves with other pad warriors about the differences in care. And so I'm just going to step away and I'm going to let Douglas and Sally have the floor. Thank you so much, you guys.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you, John.
Thank you. I'm going to just listen and learn.
I think you're on mute, Douglas.
We're going to open up. I think Douglas just needs to unmute. We are live streaming across YouTube and all the different social media channels. So there you go, Douglas. You guys are all set. The floor is for you and for Sally and for all of the other pad warriors to share your experiences, your stories, and to be able to converse and inspire.
Thank you, Kim. And Sally, that's an amazing story there that you have to, and we really appreciate you sharing with us your inspiration.
Yeah, thanks, Douglas. It was something that, like the first time I actually stepped up, and that was in Sweden, and I felt nervous. I gave my presentation to the moderator, and she was trying to follow. And actually, when I said next slide, you know, and by the third slide, because she was in front of me, she was trying to wave like I was actually going off track from the presentation, but I didn't actually know. And one of the other moderators actually said that, Salih, we looked at you, but you were blank. You were talking, but we could see that it was coming from the heart, you know. And this is what I actually enjoy. It is my things coming from the heart and not wanting others to actually suffer in the way that, or to be misled or to be misdiagnosed, you know, and trying to help them with all aspects of the healthcare in South Africa. Me being with another group that we're making awareness of diabetes in a way of wanting to paint South Africa blue, you know, on the 14th of November. So it's a campaign that we want everybody to wear blue, you know, and just to make awareness of diabetes. Some people, if I do actually ask them, what do you understand of diabetes? A lot of strange stories come up, you know, and, you know, being in this community of the Black South Africans, you know, sometimes a terminology would actually be misunderstood. So we have to look for layman's terms to actually ask questions and actually get a better feedback.
So let's back up a minute. In this process, my question would be two. Number one, with your diabetes, and then the second one with PAD. At what point in your journey did you start recognizing you needed to learn more, and you started to get out there yourself and Google or do whatever it is you did to get the knowledge that you have now? And in your journey, when did that start?
That journey started in 1999, where one of the, because they used me as a model patient at one of the clinics, and they always, whenever I had my checkups, I always had good results. So they asked me at the clinic to actually go out there and speak to the other diabetics and to encourage them and tell them how I actually relate to certain things. And, or like you said, Douglas, the lifestyle, you know, it is, how do I eat? You know, what do I eat? And try to encourage them, you know. And with this encouragement, after a few months, the other diabetics used to come to me and actually write down what they had for the week, what their readings were, you know. So in 1999, we actually got, 1999, 2000, we actually got, yes, our first glucose monitors, you know, with test strips and everything. And this made the process of actually taking care of ourselves a little bit better. I mean, I had a patient 2 years back, and came from one of the disadvantaged areas, and that clinic didn't give everybody a glucose monitor. they were sharing glucose monitors. And the first thing that I asked was, are you using the same needle to test your sugars to prick your finger? And they all said yes. And not to alarm them or anything, I actually raised some money from a couple of friends and I went out to buy lancets for them so that they can use it. So I said, even if you use that one for yourself, keep it. So
Yes.
the diabetes education and things wasn't actually prevalent, in 1999, 2000, amongst the disadvantaged areas.
Yeah, with a great question that I saw was like with the PAD, the above knee and below knee amputation. Could you explain that to me earlier today about your decision making in that process? Can you explain to us how you made that and came about that decision yourself?
Yeah. When the doctors actually told me about the blood flow after the bypass and the stents replacement, and me being in hospital and hearing other patients saying that they're back for the second time, it actually scared me. So I was in the wards with patients that were there for the second time having a second amputation. So just listening to them, it actually put fear in me. I didn't want to have one amputation and then another one if it didn't work. So when the surgeon actually did my scanning and they did an ultrasound, they said they were going to do a below knee amputation. And then I asked them to please check where my veins are the best for healing. And that's when when they said that my vein and my blood circulation is best above my knee, I actually decided and I said, can I make the choice and not you? And he said, well respected. And my surgeon actually said, are you sure that you want this on your count? So I said, yes. So they did the test and I was happy with the results to see because they showed me my veins, they showed the blood flow through the ultrasound, and they gave me the yellow dye, and they actually told me that this is the flow and see where it weakens down below your knee. And I said, please give me an amputation above my knee so that I don't have to come back a second time. And I'm
So
actually
you really
happy
do believe that made a difference?
that made a difference in everything, Douglas. It's a way that my health improved. With that decision, my health improved, and like I told John earlier, with my kidney functionality, with my eyesight, the process in my body just healed up in a better way, where my kidneys went up from between 35 and 55% up to 85% functionality, which was great. I mean, the doctors actually, that saw me all the years, they were happy. And my veins behind my eyes improved, so the focusing was actually better. My prescriptions, it's not those thick magnifying glasses anymore. So it improved, my blood pressure improved because of after the amputation and stent insertion, in my left leg, there was blood flow, so like.
So you do believe that one decision you made affected even your diabetes, didn't it?
Everything. This is the reason why I don't regret that decision. And I'm actually happy that I did it, because it is something that many amputees that I actually coach or speak to or motivate them, they already had a second amputation. And it's disheartening in a way of Will there be a third one, Salih? So, and why aren't you having a second one? You know, so it is something that with the awareness of amputation, with PAD, with diabetes, and asking for a second opinion, and even asking your doctor awkward questions so that you can learn or actually have a better hand in making decisions in your healthcare, not what is made for you. You know, you have to play a part in the decision making. You know, you have to.
Go ahead, Marcia. Marcia.
Yes, thanks, Douglas. Salih, you're incredible. You really are incredible, and you're an inspiration. I have both legs. Thank you, Jesus. But if I didn't, I'd be looking to somebody like you. I would. I'm wondering about your decision. How does that, if you do above the knee or below the knee? I mean, obviously, you've answered the question on why you made your decision, but how does that affect your mobility? If you're below, I mean, you still can't walk on your foot, correct? I mean, you don't have it, so.
Look, with making the decision, that's why with the physiotherapist, for 3 months, I spent on training on how to balance myself, how to use my left leg as a powerhouse, but with PAD, you cannot use that leg as a powerhouse because you have to thrust yourself up from the ground with your sound leg. And if you have PAD, you will land up on the floor again, because of pain. I've been put through tests where I was walking with my prosthetic leg and they pushed me to the limits of a half an hour where I had back pains. My leg pulled numb. And what they did was, it was actually, you walk with all these little sensors, on your body. And they want to see what your breaking point is. And due to the PAD, after that half an hour, it was 2 physios trying to actually fix up my back so that the pain wasn't there. The other one seeing to my leg and actually massaging it and actually getting the pain out. So yes, it is difficult because I am still dependent on my crutches for number one, and I will always be because I don't want to let go from it. It's a crutch, but psychologically, if my sound leg gives in, I've got 2 crutches to actually keep me up because I'm not always wearing my prosthetic leg. I will wear my prosthetic leg. In fact, for the last couple of months, it was difficult getting my stump into my prosthetic leg due to pains.
Explain that, what you showed me earlier. That's what.
When you have the amputation, okay, or when we actually have our legs together, it is at what you call 0%. But when they cut off, below the knee, it's not that bad, okay? But if they cut above the knee, then what happens is your flexor muscles actually pull up to a 45-degree. So you have to work that down to 0 or between a percentage that they can cast you with a prosthetic leg.
That's exactly what I'm.
So it is something that we have to work on all the time, is to keep that percentage down. So by keeping that percentage down, we have to do a lot of stretching to the back. Or somebody helping you by, if you put your sound leg to the chest and you pushing down on your stump. So it is a lot of maintenance after your amputation. You have to keep physically fit. You have to keep your percentage of your flexor muscles
Somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Those-
Sally meet Alan. Alan meet Sally.
Hi, Alan.
And
Hi,
Hey,
Alan.
sir, how are you?
I'm
So
fine. And
what-
yourself, Alan?
I see
Go ahead.
you shaking your head, Alan. What does?
Hold on, I'm having problems.
Uh-oh.
I take it Alan is an amputee as well and understands
Yes.
what you're saying, Sally.
Okay. Okay.
Right, you
You
guys
go-
can't hear me, can you?
Yes.
Yeah, we
Okay.
can hear you now.
Hi, Salih, how are you?
I'm
Hi.
fine. Thank you. Yourself, Alan?
It was interesting to hear what you said about above knee. I mean, just this year, well, I had the amputation in February and it was healing okay, and then I caught an infection. They chopped a little more off. Then I fell on my stump, broke the stump in 3 places. I'm healing from that, but now I'm starting to wonder if I've got that infection back because I'm feeling some of the same pressures that I felt before with the infection. But with the muscles contracting, my stump is going backwards. So now I'm working in therapy to bring it back the other way, so I'll be able to lock my knee.
Okay. So that you can actually get more stance on your stump.
Exactly.
At this, okay. Right.
Yep.
Right.
I'm still hoping it'll heal, but I may end up above knee just like you. I'm not sure yet.
Okay. But with your physio activities, I mean, I know from my physios that working hard on that, because I know of the flexor muscles and the abductors and that you need to pull your muscles, to the right. So if you keep on working, okay, and I mean, I know you are, because sleeping on one stomach, I mean, it's sometimes very difficult because with that friction, up at maybe at a certain percentage, if you actually sleep on your stomach, it actually helps a lot.
Yep.
And,
right now they've got the end of my stump resting on a pillow and then putting a 10-pound ankle weight across the top of the knee, above the knee, because we're trying to get the adductor to release. And
so
they
your
have
adductor to
so
release.
far not successful. It's been a fight.
Now, what I actually did was that I built a pulley system. Okay. I bought myself little miniature pulleys, and I actually I put a bar across my bed from the top, and it was just something that I developed because of another amputee actually doing the which I call the percentage difference, okay, in 1 month. And maybe if you could actually build something just to hoist up your leg so that you can actually have your stump on something, because yours is going to the back, and actually to bring it up so that it can actually loosen up the muscle. So you can do that for, let's say, 5-10 minutes, and you actually, I know if you're relaxing it on the pillow still got that, softness. So yes, there could be many processes that you can actually improve that, but rather use which they call a hard pillow.
Yep, that's what I have. It's actually a pillow that's built specifically for this, that they sell on Amazon here, and the ankle weight pushes down on the stump above the knee, so it is flexing back the other way. So my knee is going like this and hyperextending to get that one. I think it's out by 3%. It's not much.
So did your therapist come up, or did you discuss that with your doctor, Alan? Did somebody happen to notice that, or?
Well, yeah, the orthopedic surgeon saw that, and then I'm working with he's a doctor of physical therapy. He's got, oh my God, so many letters after his titles, and he's fantastic. I just felt after I fell and broke it the day you were with me, Doug.
Yeah.
The knee has a 3%. It went straight up into what they call the tibial plateau and broke into the knee. So there's a 3% offset in the smoothness of the knee itself. So they're trying to get that the knee lockout past that point without any more surgery, because the only thing feeding my stump right now are collaterals from that profunda that we talked about before. So if I lose the profunda, they're going to cut it off anyway. So I don't know.
So
I've been feeling kind of lost about it, if I should just go ahead and get it done. But after listening to Salih here a little bit, I'm starting to wonder
about what he was talking about. Your
right,
decision
if I
making?
just make the decision and go ahead and get the above knee amputation. I don't know. It just seems like it's one setback after another, and I may just have to decide to do it.
That's we talked about that earlier. And that's a
Mhm.
tough decision to make. It
changes things a lot.
Yeah, all of us are different. Everybody goes through things different, and we're not all the same. So how do we, as individuals, make that decision? Is that our lifestyle? Is that our jobs? Does that go with, do we have diabetes or not? And are we informed when we first come up with the idea, well, I have to have an amputation? Are we well informed enough to make those decisions? And how hard is that to make?
I'm going off statistics that I'm reading. As you know, I wanted to be below knee because of the agility of using your knee. You lose your knee, it's a completely different ball game. If you remember, trying to lock your knee out if you don't have a rope, I'm going to just say the knee with the they're not motors, the Arduinos that are in the knee from like Boston Scientific or some of these other places that are advancing in the robotics end of it. They say about 60% of people that in the United States, even though we have the most advanced prosthetics here, they won't use a prosthetic because it's so hard if it does not if it doesn't have the robotic functions. And
now, Alan, just on that, it's something that like I've got a hydraulic knee.
Do you?
And
Okay.
yeah, and I had the which they say the microchip knee as well, which was given to me by OSA and Ottobock, just to test out, to see how it actually helps a diabetic, and how it actually, because me developing PAD as well, it was something on how can we relieve or alleviate the pressure. Although they tell you use your stance leg more than your prosthetic leg. Put all your weight on your prosthetic leg, but a person with PAD, it's something different. And I've always tried to explain to them that if your PAD leg, as I say it, if that gets tired, I'm reliant on my prosthetic leg and my crutches.
Right.
And that, 60% of the time now at this moment, I'm in a wheelchair. If I go out to the office or to to a quick meeting, I will use my prosthetic leg, but most of the time I will leave my prosthetic leg. In a mall, if I go shopping on my own, then I will use my wheelchair. And the embarrassments of actually crutches, wheelchair, prosthetic leg, I threw that out of the window because for me, I want to live my life. So
Right.
doing a shopping for an hour or two with the kids, push me around, have fun.
Sure.
If I'm on my own, I will use my crutches, or if it's convenient, my prosthetic leg. But using the microchip leg or sorry knee, actually they program you, okay, on your. You just have to walk. They program you. They will program the knee, and the only thing is that knee walks for you.
Correct.
You don't do the walking.
One thing they're actually doing here is they're using green screen technology.
Yeah.
With the company I'm working with to map your other leg, which is it's kind of cool. I mean, it's expensive as all hell, but I think it would be worth it in the long run, just to see. But I'm still undecided which way I want to go.
So listen to that, Alan. Sally can explain this. We're talking about the difference between the USA and like Canada, UK, South Africa, and getting prosthetics. He was telling me something that I didn't know that I find fascinating. In the waiting period between us in South Africa, between the hospitals and outpatient clinics, or whether you have insurance or you don't have insurance, and how long you have to wait to get a prosthetic.
Yeah, Douglas, on that, and Alan, like in South Africa, if you go to the public sector, okay, they amputate your leg below knee, above knee, and there is a 4-year waiting period.
Good
4
Lord.
years, yeah. And I told Douglas that it actually demotivates the people to live a normal life. So if that person, how can I say, lose its will to move around or live, they will be down in that wheelchair for the rest of their lives. Because if it comes to the 4th year, they are not motivated to even go for therapy or going for that casting. So for me, it's like it's a banking card on what they want to actually achieve. The government, oh, that patient will lose it. They won't come back. So we will save money. So it's crucial to actually have that prosthetic leg in the first year of your amputation. I had mine in the first 6 months, and it gave me a sense of I am a full human being. I am not an amputee. But to give yourself that emotional sense of value and to live beyond your dreams again. I mean, for me, when I went for my first hike, when my son and I went onto the mountains, it was freedom for me. When I jumped into the pool for the first time, I didn't have my prosthetic leg. It took me 20 minutes to actually to balance myself out, because when I swam, I tipped over, because it's wonderful how the weight of your leg actually balances your body, And with my second jump in, I jumped in with my prosthetic leg. Why? The prosthetic knee that I've got is waterproof. Not water resistant, but waterproof. So I can actually go up to 4 meters underwater with it, And it made a massive difference. And I actually swam with my prosthetic leg. And, mountain climbing, cycling, it's something that I think I sent Kim, that little video, You know, it's something that I just try to get back to my independence, and,
Well,
and it's a drive, you know, to get it back.
I think that's every amputee's goal.
Yeah.
I also have on my right leg, I only have half a foot. So for the past 9 months, I've been hopping around with a walker. I've also learned to kind of hop counter to counter without my walker in the kitchen when making a meal or something like that.
Right.
So I have been fighting. It's just getting back to that point. And everything you're saying is correct in my heart, and I know that. But I've been working very, very hard, and I will get there.
But Alan, there's a certain term which I'll always use, you know, and if I'm at work at the office, I will always tell them I am at the independent level with a certain amount of limitations. For me, I will get under the desk. I will pick up a pen that I drop. If I fall over, I'll get up. So there is certain limitations that I have, and getting around, I can't get as quick as I used to. If you call me now, my brain has to function. If a pad pain kicks in or something, and I say, just hold on, let the pain go away. I'm now there, carry on. So there is a certain amount of limitations, but our independence is important, you know, and I can relate to that. But I hope that actually answered your question, Douglas.
Yeah. So there's a little brutal honesty. Do you ever have days where you get up and say, I can't? That mental health aspect of the disease, or I don't want to, or I'm tired of trying, or can I really do this? Do you ever have those kind of those fluctuation periods?
Yes. In fact, last week on Friday, I woke up with body pains that I could not move. And luckily, I always put my phone next to me. And the first call that I made was to the team from the training center. And I said, I cannot move out of this bed. I'm in pain. That's all that I said, you know. And all of them WhatsApp back and they said, we will run it from here, Salih. You get better. And for the entire Friday, I mean, I tried my best to move out off the bed, and I couldn't. I mean, I thought to myself, is the psychological? But because of the amount, I don't know, I just called it a pad flare up that I just couldn't move. And my muscles, my calves, and even to a point that my stump was paining, the ghost pains, the phantom pains that actually protruded out of my leg, that I was scared to actually get up. And emotionally, this actually made me a basket case for the day, you know. And the first thing that I reached out was, which I don't like to do, I actually had something to eat first, and then I took a tramadol, and being the tramadol, yeah, that was the 30% normal type, whatever mixture in there, and the other 70% morphine, you know. And can say 45 minutes later, there was no pain, but of course my body was numb. And I just decided, Douglas, I just decided, I said, this day is my day in bed. That is it.
And that's what and I'm gonna give a shout out to Alan, since I met him from the very first time I met you, Alan, to where you are now. I can see, we talk a lot, but I can see the up and downs you've been through, and how even through all this, and there's a lot of us in this group that get up every day and it's like, I'm tired, I don't want to go anymore, but we keep going, don't we? Because that's all we have, isn't it?
Well, we there's no choice. I mean, it's either that or you lay there and you die. I mean, for myself, I have my down days, and you can tell when I'm having. I say I'm having an amputee day, and that's where I withdraw. I'm not necessarily. I'm in constant pain right now, but I refuse pain meds. I just don't like them. Since the fall, I've got all the phantom pains back in my stump, so it's just there 24/7. Sometimes it's lightning bolts, sometimes it's pressure, sometimes it feels like my big toe came out to play. And there it is. And it's just right now I've decided to go back to therapy for myself because my mind is with a few other things going on in my family's lives, that I'm having a hard time coping. So I'm going back. I've had a therapist for 20 years. It's just somebody to go talk to, get it out, get a different direction to think, and it makes me better. Some people need it, some people don't.
Does it act as a reset button for you a little bit?
It does. I have learned over the years, I'm a pessimist. Oh, horrible.
Oh.
And I always thought it served me well because anytime in my life my expectations were a little bit lower than perfect and it turned out that way or a little bit better, that was a win for me, But I've learned to think about things in a different perspective and trying to be, no matter how bad my life is, there's always something good to focus on, if that's a way to put it. It could be something as small. Oh, that breakfast I had was really good, and focus on that for the day. I'm hesitant to say it, but the reason is it's not my physical condition. My brother has cancer and also my sister has cancer, and I'm the youngest, and I was always the sick one. And it's very, besides my own physical limitations right now, trying to get healthier to be whole, like Salih feels, is a long road. I've watched some of the other amputees in the group that are above me, and they struggle with it, and that scares the hell out of me. It really does. Salih has figured it out. He's a very wise man, I can tell. And but it is a reset. You're right. It is a reset where I can go and just talk to my therapist for 45 minutes. She says, do this, this, and this. It's like exercises for the week for the brain. And then I go do it. And it helps. It really helps.
So what Salih and I talked about, and Salih brought that up, is if we stay engaged, how much does that make a difference in how we deal daily? And if I spent my time on the couch every day in front of the TV, at some point that's where I'm going to be, isn't it?
That's right.
And if I don't get out and walk the woods, if I don't mow the 100 acres that I have, if I don't do this or don't do that, it doesn't. I have to become engaged, don't I? If I don't try and change my eating habit, quit smoking, and do all the wonderful stuff that we tell ourselves we're supposed to, where are we going to be?
Yeah, now with the emotional side of there's a difference between the traumatic side of losing a limb and losing a limb because of a disease like cancer or diabetes or PAD. It is something that, even with speaking to my therapist as well, Alan and Douglas, it is something that I just feel that if you tell people there is help out there, like I do a lot of peer support, you know. It is something that, like, we can all relate to a certain problem that we've got in or trying to recover. But if you speak to somebody that is going through the same, and how that person, like, I mean, just speaking to Alan, I'm learning a lot, you know. Speaking to my psychologist, it is something that, like, for me, what is my greatest fear? And my greatest fear is, I wouldn't say not dying, but it is having or being a double amputee. I can already see, like,
That's mine.
sometimes, is that yours as well?
That is mine.
Well, yeah.
That is
I
my
mean,
biggest
becoming,
fear, and I feel like, and maybe you, I feel like I would have no purpose at that point. Sitting in a wheelchair, because let's face it, only about 20% of double amputees can actually walk on two prosthetics.
Yeah.
It's very small.
It's very small.
And I don't know how I would be. I really don't. And I've warned my wife.
What I think the question is, that a man thing or is that a human being thing? Is for us as men, Alan, when you say that, does that mean that takes away your, I don't want to say the manhood, but does that take away that part?
No, because you know what, Doug? Even though I'm still working, the funny thing is about providing. Let's go with that one. Here's a man thing. Let's provide. My wife makes more money than I do, so she provides for me. So the insurance is hers. I have, the HSA home thing. We talked about this, and it doesn't matter to her or myself as long as we're able to take care of each other, and that's our main goals. She goes through her struggles. She has primary lymphedema, so every day is painful for her to walk. So me, with my walking right now, I'm not, my right leg is, I have no PAD, thank God, no pain, no nothing. I'm fine right now. But I can relate to her pain when she walks. Some of it is the same, some of it is a little different. But she keeps fighting too, and it's kind of, thank God we have each other. If she has lost her temper with me, I've lost my temper with her, but we're able to come back to some center. But taking away, I think you have to let go of some of it as being a man, and be more patient. The biggest thing is patience. People around you, and I'm getting off track, but latest thing I've noticed, because I was so happy-go-lucky, I'm going to be fine for months and months and months, that I really thought, looking at people, they said, to me, get out of the way. We're going to have to move you like I'm a freaking immovable object. And that really played a mind game. And trying to explain to those people what happens to someone when you tell them that. That's a big mind thing. And if I get my way set up in the kitchen or down at my shop, my workshop, and somebody comes behind me and pushes all the stuff back, do you know how long that takes me to get set back up again? Oh, good Lord. We're talking days and days and weeks and weeks. Hopping around on one leg. It's just, yeah. So
I have a question for you, because you mentioned, it's actually for you and Sally. You mentioned that you were missing toes on your good leg, but you didn't really have pad. I was wondering if your collaterals in your remaining leg have really strengthened since your amputation for both. So is your pad, pad doesn't go away. Does it just that because of collateral growth?
I just have everything in my leg is collaterals now. and I call it at a floating point. Nobody wants to touch me anymore, really, because I start so badly.
Me too.
So I actually let my dog out, and there's 4 steps to go down, and I'll grab the railing, sit down, and then go down, and I'll stand back up. But from about a 15-inch sitting height, I can literally pick myself up with my leg, just my half a foot.
Yeah.
And I'm
Amazing.
208 pounds. I'm not a light person, but
have you put on weight since your amputation? Is that a factor for both of you?
no,
Weight
I lost 20 pounds instantly.
Well,
No,
I mean,
I lost a lot of weight, you know, and
I
related.
did too.
Last year I just because I had a bad year, you know, or not last year, sorry, it was actually last year from around about, you can say, November, December, okay, right up till where I was actually burnt out, and I actually gained weight because I actually stopped my exercises. And I did my normal walking with my crutches and everything, but I actually stopped my exercises and I suffered with my pad more, number one. I picked up weight. I found it difficult to actually use my crutches because I had to use my body weight, you know. And in the last, you can say 2 months now, I'm back to my normal weight, which is my normal weight now is actually 98 kilograms. I don't know how much that is in the conversion now, but I'm on 98, what you call it, kilos, and I'm feeling much better. And just to answer your first question related to the pad, it is also, you know, I know that pad will never go away. And just to have gotten that when myself and Douglas were speaking earlier on, you know, the collaterals, when I used to get to the point of I can't anymore, that pain, but it is stepping beyond that pain to form that collaterals, or the body can form the collaterals, you know. And maybe my collaterals didn't form properly or didn't push through because every time when it came to that pain, I stopped. I relaxed, you know. So I told Douglas that I will actually push that extra mile now, knowing what I've been taught today is to push beyond so that the collaterals can actually keep on developing, you know. And
that's why we call it one step away. That's what that whole process is, taking that one extra step to develop those collaterals.
Yeah. So I will do that one extra step with, in fact, I will do 3 extra steps. That is 2 crutches and my 1 sound leg. So it is beautiful I mean, just listening to Alan and Douglas and yourself, Marcia, the questions that you actually ask, you know, and just learning holistically about everything. I told Douglas this, I mean, you're never too old to learn, you know. And the thing is that I'm only 3 years an amputee. And a lot of the guys will call me, "Are you the baby amputee?" You know. And putting all this knowledge together and advocating for other people and trying to listen. With me, I always listen with empathy, you know. And it is something that is so wonderful that we all around the world and we have something in common, the same sufferings, sometimes the same socioeconomic environments that we are in. It is actually a beautiful environment. And like, again, I will say it's a blessing that I'm here today meeting all of you. You know, it's a beautiful platform, and thanks to Kim again. I will always thank her. But it is just beautiful to, for me, this is therapy. Speaking to all of you, it is therapy, you know. And somehow I'm feeling a little bit lighter, sharing my journey, speaking about things that I might have not actually spoken to a psychologist. And you keep it to the boundaries of, oh, I've got an hour, you know, with her, you know. But speaking to you, if I sit back and I listen to Alan Douglas or anybody else, you know, it is something that it's a weight off my shoulders.
Well, that goes
Now,
back, that goes to that part where I think both you and Alan addressed this issue, is that knowing that I am not the only one who feels this way, knowing I'm not the only one who goes through these things. I'm not the only one who thinks about this way. I mean, I talk about recovery a lot. So for me, when I talk to my sponsor in my recovery program, he knows exactly what goes on between here and here in my brain because he's been there. So with what
either that or he calls me.
But so listening to you and Alan, y'all are able to share that emotion that y'all feel when y'all have that. And for us in the group, when we try and eat right, or when we're trying to stop smoking, or you know, we get to that point when I don't want to take that extra step, knowing that somebody else did, and getting that inspiration from each other. And it's an amazing process. And think about, you know, we said this earlier, Sally, is you're 5,000 miles away from all of us here, and yet we still experience the same things basically in life, don't we?
Salih, may I ask one question?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Are you on Facebook?
Yes, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter.
If I send you a friend request, is it cool?
Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah, thanks.
Yep, we'll do.
Yeah, and
So, there was another.
go ahead.
Go back to the beginning. I saw it. How do you check your ABI with the difference? What do you use to do that with?
Okay. Okay. I've got one of these.
Oh, back up.
What is it?
It probably doesn't want to advertise.
It's
one of,
it's because you have your background blurred.
Oh, so this falling under the bag.
Yeah, so if you like your background, it might show. It would show.
Okay. This is one of that electronic blood pressure machines. And what I do is I have to check my blood pressure on a daily basis because of my kidneys. So when I actually asked the surgeon, that was in just after my amputation, I said, how do I check? Because of PAD, there is something that I heard about, you know, about the blood pressure between the arm and the ankle. And then he explained about the ABI or ABPI. Yeah. So he showed me. Okay. And he said, you take the blood pressure of your arm. Okay. So if that is 120 over 80, all right. And then you put the wrapping around your ankle, but the which they call the piping, okay, at your side of your ankle, okay, and then you do your normal pumping, and you get your blood pressure of your ankle, and for example, if your pressure is say 118 over 60, all right, then what you must do is you have to divide your ankle blood pressure, the top reading, by the top reading of your arm blood pressure. So if you divide that into each other and you get a reading of 1, then that means, say for example, the number, say 5 goes into 10, okay? So 5 will go 2 times. Or if you get a blood pressure of 10/10, then 10 divides into 10 once, okay? So if it's 120, you're reading from your top pressure, and 118 from your ankle, then you divide your ankle into your arm, the top readings. So 118 will go once into 120. So that is a reading of 1%. So that means there's blood flow from your arm down to your knee 100%. Sorry, your ankle. So what I'll do is I will share that little which I call my educational things that I send up, as how to actually pick your ABI. And just for that reading, so if it's 1, you got 100% blood flow. If it is, say 0.9, it's still okay. But if it goes to 0.5 or 0.4, then you know there is a blockage. Now, the other thing is, many years back, before PAD, I always used to have cramps and things in both legs before my amputation, you know. And one doctor, when I went for, oh yes, I had a prostate scare. And I had the cancer check for my prostate and everything. And thank God that everything came out clear. And I just went on a medication to bring down the swelling. But when that actually happened, I actually asked the doctor, you know, why did you actually look at my results funny? Because you took my blood pressure from my right side and you took my blood pressure on my left side. So he said, did any doctor tell you that your arteries on your right side is narrower than your arteries and veins, whatever, on your left side, arm and legs? So I get 4 different blood pressure readings in my body. Left arm, right arm, left leg, all of it has different blood pressure readings. You know? So he said that some people have thin arteries and veins, some people don't. Some people have all the same around. So you have to be very careful on. That's why whenever I go to the doctor and they take my blood pressure, they will take my blood pressure on both my arms so that they can take an average.
And that's what
You know?
we that's what's the second heart of our bodies. Do we know that? Is our calf muscles, right? That's why walking is so important, because the blood goes down, but it has to go back up. And that's why when we walk, our calf muscles are actually putting that blood back up.
Okay.
So yes, that's awesome. And
so is Kim playing the peanut gallery today or what? Where'd you go?
No, she's there. Susan's here. Have any questions, Susan?
I'm here as well. So I guess I'm a little fly on the wall. I am just listening to this amazing, inspiring conversation. You all are going through so much, and to see your strength and your courage and how you're persevering, and just your overall vulnerability and honesty and transparency and what you're sharing, it's really powerful. And I'm hoping that as we share this as well on LinkedIn and on YouTube and publicly, that physicians and clinicians who are treating people with PAD will have a lot greater understanding and empathy in the process, and really take more time and consideration in what it's like for you, Alan, and you, Sally, to go through an amputation. It should not be a decision taken lightly, and they really need to do more to diagnose this disease sooner and take every single precaution they can to help you as patients become a partner in your care. There is so much that you can do. And from watching you and being a part of your journey of late, I know that you will do, and others will do, if they know that and have hope that they can stall the progression of the disease and prevent amputation. But
so Sally's going to try something next time he goes and talks to the doctors. That I gave him. We talked about this. He's going to get one of the top doctors in there and tie his one leg or the other up behind him, and then try and tell him to go try and drive his car home and see what it feels like for that doctor.
It would be interesting at a conference, and not to do it to a dangerous level, but just as they tie your arm with a tourniquet when they take your blood, have them tie the tourniquet around their leg and just ask them to walk around for 2 minutes with it. Guaranteed, they're going to start to feel just an ounce as to what you feel, because when you start, even for those few minutes that you are waiting for, that the blood to be drawn and you have that tourniquet on, you can start to feel your hands swell up, the pressure, the throbbing, and then take it to the next level and imagine, doctor, what it's like now to walk, to try to go to sleep at night with this tourniquet wrapped around your leg 24/7. And then even more what you're saying, what Douglas mentioned, taking the leg up and trying, once that amputation occurs, trying to live your life, trying to get out of bed with just one leg. And what I hear from so many of our PAD warriors is that you have moments where you forget, you're in bed, right? And you forget that you only have one leg, and you just fall out of bed. There's so many times where you fall, and Sally mentioned you have to get back up, and it's so hard to get back up after each and every one of those falls. But the strength that you all have to get back up every time, I think sometimes in hearing you, Alan, and even, just talking to you for the short time that, we've known each other, Sally, I think sometimes you guys are really hard on yourselves. I think that you deserve to cut yourselves some slack, because each and every day, I know it doesn't help for me to say that I am so proud of you. I can't even imagine what you are going through, but the fact that you guys do get back up is amazing, and you need to give yourself that credit. Allow yourself to be in those moments where you just feel like you've lost all hope, for those moments to allow yourself to be moody, to allow yourself to be frustrated, to allow yourself to be angry. That's really important, because I know with each and every one of you that you prefer to feel better, right? You prefer to have hope. You prefer to live. And you have so many people around you that love and care about you. And you have such a powerful purpose in life that you are here today.
And that goes with the doctors. Like the doctors that we saw from South Africa today, that it's starting at the grassroots, isn't it? Where the doctors are making those changes, and that excitement, even with them in the small community growing, about making the changes. And we talked about this. I am more than a number. I am not just a statistic on a page somewhere. I am just not something that you go through because you're going to make $100,000 on an amputation and only 50,000 by doing a stent. I am more than that.
You know, Douglas, you're saying that now. In Europe, the European Union has actually allowed one of the diabetes advocates to actually sit in Parliament now, and they formed a NCD board to lay policies in Parliament. So it's actually taken this to the next level on decision making, in Parliament, and actually laying policies. I mean, I wish it could happen more around the world, where Europe is actually taking it to the next level on decision making. The EU, where they're actually allowing diabetics to actually make decisions on or to actually make decisions on the policies of medicines. Of medicines.
Kim, we're also going to start a new program, and Sally's going to start it. He's going to be going to the colleges where they teach these doctors, and these doctors are going to have to take a course with us as patients, teaching them what we want them to understand before they actually are able to graduate.
I think that's a great idea. I think that if all of you come together, let's make that a task for our meeting of the PAD task force, and let's put together an actual course on the experience of the PAD patient. What do you, I'm all in.
Because I was telling Sally about the Chicago. Remember a couple years ago in Chicago,
we'll support it.
When the two doctors got up and said, I never thought about it that way. They never had really thought about what we expressed in that meeting with them in Chicago. And we how many doctors don't think about that, because they only have 10 minutes with us, and they got to do 4 hours of paperwork, and it's crazy. And now we also know it's getting a little late there in South Africa for Sally. Yes. We don't really want to keep him up really too late past his bedtime, because he needs his beauty sleep.
He's not a party animal.
What time is it there, Sally?
No, it's now just after 10 p.m.
Yes, we appreciate